Okay, Crystal Palace have defeated Manchester City 1-0 in the FA Cup final. The only goal after 16 minutes was from Eze on a counter attack. Their first attack of the game at that point, actually. First 15 minutes was all Man City. Henderson's pulled off a couple of really good saves. He had a few wobbly moments in the first half, including giving away a really silly, sloppy corner unnecessarily when he could have let the ball go dead. And then the question mark, did he handle the ball outside the box when Haaland was in on goal? The VAR check said he didn't, so, make of that what you will. The counter-attack is Crystal Palace's first meaningful attack. They utilised the wide area really effectively. Man City did have problems defending those counter-attacks. Munoz's cross was pinpoint, and Eze's finish was pinpoint. It was a brilliant, brilliant goal. Ismail Sarr had a similar opportunity a few minutes later, which could have made it 2-0. Ortega did save that. And then, apart from a few flashes in the first half with Palace going out on the counter-attack, Man City, controlled the possession. But they tried to pass it into the goal a lot. They didn't get enough crosses in. When you've got players like Haaland who are quite tall, and with Haaland being as physical as he is, they try to play the perfect pass all the time. They had a lot of possession. At one point, it was 83% possession. They had a lot of passing and possession, but Palace stay organised. Then there's the penalty, and it's a silly challenge on Bernardo Silva. It is a silly challenge. What I find interesting is Haaland gives the ball to Mamouche, and well, this is where Henderson earns his pay because it's a great double save. He goes to his right, saves it, gets up and saves the rebound shot from Haaland. And that's the moment when you're thinking, Crystal Palace are going to do this, and we're not even at half time. We're not even at half time. Now, Crystal Palace get through to half time. It's 1-0. Man City will have to, inject some pace or, change things tactically. And they don't. The second half starts like the first half. Man City with the majority of possession, which was expected. If anything, Crystal Palace did more defending in the second half than in the first half. But then there's the disallowed goal. Now, they don't deal with the long throws from Richards. City just did not cope well with the set plays. Munoz puts it in the goal. It does take a deflection. The shot takes a deflection. Munoz beats Ortega to the ball, but it's Ismail Sarr that it deflects off, and so it is offside. If that goal stands and it goes to 2-0, I think Man City could have completely imploded because they were looking frustrated, and as the second half wears on, they were getting more and more frustrated. There was a lot of unnecessary bookings. De Bruyne was showing his frustration. Haaland became a non-entity in the second half. An absolute non-entity. Henderson again pulls off saves. Keeps it at 1-0. But Man City didn't utilise different strength that they have. They didn't deviate from Plan A. They stuck to Plan A. They didn't try and go long over the top. They didn't try and use the width as well with wingers and wingbacks. They just kept going through the middle third of the field and trying to pass it. And Crystal Palace defended in 2s, 3s and 4s, got blocks in, blocked the passing channels, and they had their flashes on the counter-attack, but they were dogged defensively and stuck to their task, and Haaland was a non-entity. And then they start taking shots from distance. And I don't know what De Bruyne is doing with that shot on the outside of the foot, when if in reality on that half volley, if he hits on the inside of the foot, it's on target and probably going in the net. And he hits it with the outside of his right foot and he bends it away from the goal. Just summed up Man City's afternoon. They got more frustrated. The 10 minutes of added time. Well, you could argue there were some lengthy injury spells. Gay's gone off with a concussion, for example, taking a shot full onto the face. There were some players down who needed lengthy, treatment. Gay especially with his concussion. He did play on for a little bit, then he comes off. But 10 minutes, I think that's a bit excessive. I do think FIFA needs to look at when there's a stoppage in play to stop the watch and then restart the clock, like other sports do, like rugby union, rugby league do, for example. But as I say, as the game went on, Man City became more desperate and more frustrated, and the final whistle was very telling with Guardiola and his response at the full time. They were wasteful in front of goal. Henderson has apart from a few wobbly moments in the first half, has had a brilliant game and should be in contention for the England squad. I have no doubt on that. He should be in Thomas Tuchel's plans with a performance like that. But Manchester City, I mean, in the FA, apart from the semi-final against Nottingham Forest, I haven't been overly impressed with Manchester City. And tactically, they didn't adapt to what Palace were doing. They did not adapt at all. They didn't have a plan B. They didn't utilise wide areas as well as they could with crosses. They got some crosses in, but they were wasteful. They had all this possession. As the second half wore on, you could see the desperation was kicking in, so they're just picking up the pace a little bit. But Palace stayed organised. They stayed structured. And they did utilise their pace in wide areas very effectively. They were actually set up to play a lot of the game without the ball. And after the 5-2 defeat at the Etihad, Glasner said to Guardiola, if you play the same way again, we will beat you. And they did. And they did. You know, they did beat them. Man City set up the same way, played the same way, and Crystal Palace beat them. And this result sums up Manchester City's season. Crystal Palace, for their work rate, their commitment to the cause, their energy levels, they deserve the win. They tactically pulled off a masterpiece. But this is not the first time Manchester City have been beaten in the FA Cup, be it the final or any other round, where they have stuck to plan A and have not been tactically flexible. This reminded me of when Chelsea beat them in the Champions League final, for example. When Thomas Tuchel, who's now the England manager, did a similar thing. He set up in a way where they were happy to have, lack of possession and give Man City the possession because they knew Man City would not deviate from plan A. So Guardiola, while he's had a great success as a manager, and you can look at all the trophies he's won, in certain games with certain managers, in finals and semi-finals, he has been found out tactically because he doesn't revert away from plan A. But there we go. Crystal Palace have won their first major honour. They will be playing in Europe next season. Manchester City finished the season without a trophy and are not guaranteed Champions League qualification, let alone European qualification, depending how the rest of the results in the Premier League go. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the final in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.